family. I am so excited to share with you today a leader that I admire. We are doing something new for the podcast. She and I are in person. This is the first time I've done a podcast episode like this, so you know it's going to be good. And I say this a lot, but today is definitely an episode where you want to hit the pause real quick. Go grab a notebook because LaDondra is going to drop some gems. So LaDondra, tell us a little bit about yourself and introduce yourself to the PowerBanking community, which you are a member of the PowerBanking community.
I am. Hi, PowerBankers. So happy to be here with Jacqueline today and, of course, with all of you. As she mentioned, my name is LaDondra Wilson, and I'm so happy that Jacqueline is here in the city of Dallas, my home. I'm from Oak Cliff, Texas, right in the heart of Dallas, born and raised, a proud Texan. And actually, Jacqueline and I met each other from some work that I do. I am Director of Leadership Programs at the Dallas Regional Chamber. And at that time, I managed our Young Professionals group, which really is a networking group of professionals looking to network with like-minded professionals. And we had Jacqueline in to meet with our young leaders, our women young leaders. And she came in and gave us the information that we needed for our young lady professionals to be empowered. But beyond that, I would like to say that I'm a community leader, and I really don't even like to use the word leader. I'm really just a community member that likes to find where I can best help. And so a philanthropist, a connector, and really just a young professional trying to figure things out like many of you.
Well, I'm so happy you're here. She's given us some of her bio. Y'all, she's amazing. She does so many things. As she mentioned, she loves community, and she's one of the leaders. Yes, I'm calling her a leader because she's a natural leader. She's one of the people who gets in and gets things done. So in addition to her day job, we're going to hop into this a little bit. She's pursuing a PhD as well. So tell us a little bit about your PhD experience.
Yeah, so it's a doctoral in social work. My bachelor's and master's are in social work. Started out really just as an interest to help others. I'm like, wow, there's a career where you can get paid to help other people. Mm-hmm. And I was extremely excited about that opportunity. And then I kind of found my niche that I was really interested in making sure that our nonprofits worked efficiently. And so most nonprofits do a lot of great work for our communities, but there's an opportunity to be more efficient. And so I pursued my administrative leadership degree in social work for my master's. And who knew that I'd be a life learner? I decided to continue in the track of nonprofit work, but took a little of a transition with my career, and that's how I made it to the chamber, again, to learn better work skills, how to be more efficient, those soft skills that maybe we don't learn in college, but that we need in the workplace. And so I went into the chamber is a nonprofit, but we connect with a lot of corporations. So really took advantage of those relationships by working with corporate companies. And so I figured, well, let's take this a step further, and decided to do community building as a concentration for this social work degree. So I'm in my dissertation phases and basically looking to connect a hybrid between nonprofits and the corporate world through social entrepreneurship. So that's what my dissertation topic is. Please wish me luck because I'm just getting started on my research. Super excited. Just got approval and waiting to get started.
You're going to kill it. So know for all of you out there, connect with LaDondra Wilson on LinkedIn if you are in the corporate space or the nonprofit world and you're looking to be more engaged in the community. In the show notes for today, I will link up to her LinkedIn profile as well as her personal website so that you can connect with her because she is a wealth of knowledge. She knows what she's doing, y'all. So let's hop into this episode. I prepared a few questions, and the first one is, LaDondra, what is your definition of leadership?
Well, it's so funny, and I alluded to this earlier. I think that anyone has the capacity to be a leader. Now, notice I didn't say a good leader. I didn't say that everyone is a leader, but I think that we give a lot of power to that word, and so many people are afraid and venture away from it. But I do think that a leadership leadership role is a powerful one and can be beneficial or could be harmful depending on how that person utilizes their position. And so I think that when we think of leadership, it's really a person in position that's able to guide and inspire and then influence decisions, hopefully that's mutually beneficial to themselves and the group that they're leading. As a servant leader, so when people refer to me as leader, I always say, well, I'm a servant leader. I think that's a little bit different because leadership is a powerful role, but I think a servant leader is able to have a good balance between power, but also empathy and then vulnerability, because you have to be willing to put yourself out there. And I think that some leaders exclude themselves when they're away from the team, but a really great leader puts themselves out there and allow their team to show that they're a part of the team, and that takes a little bit of vulnerability. So all of those encompass what I feel leadership should be.
So those leadership skills that you're talking, I'm like, yes. Like truly effective leaders, if you all think about the leaders that you connect with, they probably fit that definition of what she's just described as an effective leader. Now, as you said at the beginning, some people have a leadership position and you have a view of them that might not be the best. And maybe if they enhance on some of these skills, who knows what type of impact they could have.
Yeah, and I like to encourage everyone to find a leader within themselves, because maybe you're a leader of your household, maybe you're a leader of a team or organization, but if nothing else, you should be a leader of yourself. So take ownership of what it is that you want to accomplish and then guide those goals, and you get to lead and decide which direction you'll go.
Okay, so tweetable moment right there. She just said, you have to lead yourself, so own it. And when you think of leaders, who comes to mind?
Also, totally opposite of the cliches, because I could easily say you're Michelle Obama, you're Oprah, and I love all of them. But I always like to find the unsung hero within an organization, within the company, because that's usually the person that's probably driving the success the most. So this is the person that doesn't have a title, maybe. They definitely never want recognition, but is the person that's making sure all of the pieces are in line. They're making sure that the leader looks good, and they're holding it all together. So that, in my opinion, I'm looking for that person.
And that speaks to your community building effort too, because it takes someone who's deeply rooted in the community to go out and identify the people who don't have the title but are doing the work and who are influencing the work as well.
Absolutely.
So yes, I love that. And we've been talking a little bit about your leadership story, but your current role as leadership director at the Chamber, just tell us more about your personal leadership story.
Sure. Very uncommon story. Again, my background is social work. And so when I came to the Chamber, very funny story, I had been at a nonprofit, and for most nonprofits, they don't have the resources to really pour into their young leaders or aspiring leaders. You just have to figure it out with external resources. And so it was with a nonprofit, a private nonprofit, that decided that I was worth putting through a leadership program, and I am forever grateful for that, because now I'm a leadership junkie. But went through that program, and in that program I learned so much about that community. However, that community wasn't home to me, and so I said, well, I really want to know more about what's going on in my community in Dallas and Southern Dallas specifically. And so I'm going to look into Leadership Dallas, because I learned that these leadership programs are really throwing their leaders into the community issues. So I go research the Leadership Dallas program, shout out to Leadership Dallas, and learned that it was a really rich lineage of great leaders, former mayors and elected officials, and really some noteworthy individuals with a very expensive price tag to participate. And the qualifications, quite frankly, I was just not there in my career. And but while I was on their website, I always dig through organizations' websites to learn everything about them. But
I gotta pause you there. That was another tip that y'all have to put in the notebook. Always dig through a company's website.
Yes.
A lot of times when I'm talking to women leaders, one of the things that they say is, I need more information. And LaDondra just nailed it. Sometimes the information is right under our nose.
Absolutely.
We just have to stay on that website longer than 60 seconds to find it.
Yeah, and sometimes it's hidden. But
yes.
I went there to learn more about Leadership Dallas, thinking I would apply, and was very happy with the job that I was with. But then I said, okay, I'm not going to be able to do Leadership Dallas right now, and went on to their careers page, and there was an opening for manager of leadership programs, and it was to manage their young professionals. And I'm like, I'm a young professional. I like to network. I've gone through a couple of leadership programs. I can run one. And so thankfully I was able to convince the hiring managers that at that time. And so that's when my career took a different pivot. And thankfully, it's really benefited me to be at an organization that's connected to the corporate world. And so from that, work with the young professionals, and have had, it was really beneficial to me because all of the programming, again, one that we even had Jacqueline there as a speaker, was very beneficial to me. So I managed the program, but I reaped the benefits of the programming there. And then this year had the opportunity to advance into a role where now I work with C-suites and with our Executive Women's Roundtable and our Leadership Dallas alumni. So how funny is that? I started out with an interest to be in that program, and now I have the opportunity to manage the alumni part of that program. And so one way or another, I was able to work with those leaders that I wanted to. But it's been a great transition to work with kind of every level of professional in their career, the young, aspiring professional, the person that is an established leader, and then those that are C-suites and running organizations in the city. So it's been a great journey.
And one of the things I love about your story is you continue to invest in yourself. Not only are you working really hard managing this leader program, the executives women and the alumni of the leadership development, but you recently graduated from a different leadership program, the Mayor Star Council. So tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. The Mayor Star Council has become just a really big part of my heart. So going through these leadership programs, especially the professional ones, those are really intended to help advance you in your career. And those are very important. If you have an opportunity to participate in one, please do so. Because even if you feel like you've arrived as a leader, you get to work with other leaders with diverse thoughts. So if we only are surrounded around those individuals that think like us, then we will never propel to a different level because we all think alike, right?
Right.
And so these leadership programs provide you an opportunity to be around other leaders in other industries, different genders, ages. A lot of the leadership programs that are not specific to young professionals, I mean, you'll find someone that's a millennial, and then you'll find a baby boomer, and you find the generational changes in leadership. So I just always would encourage someone, if you have the opportunity, to look into leadership programs. But what was different about Mayor Star Council and what stood out to me, I think most people were like, why are you applying to a leadership program? You run leadership programs. But it was because this one had an angle of civic engagement. And so beyond being a voter and encouraging people to vote, I could not tell you the first thing about city governance. I just know that there's a mayor, there's some city council members that you vote for, and they get the work done in the city. When the truth is, as individuals, as citizens, we need to be as engaged, if not more, than our city council leaders, because they're just our voice. But if we're not speaking into them, then they're representing something that may be very contrary to what we believe in. And so the Mayor Star Council is a civic engagement organization for young professionals. So we still do cater to those individuals ages 25 to 40, but now from an opportunity for you to get engaged as a city leader. So we always like to say, the city sucks in 20 years, it's your fault. And I don't want to be
in anybody's city.
Yeah, I don't want to be in a lame city. And so I went through the program last year, and not surprising, I served as the community service chair. We call it the serve chair. And this year I have the privilege of being the vice president and will serve as the president next year.
I love that. So as you're telling me this, I'm just like, all of these amazing elements, how these things have beautifully weaved together, but how it goes back to your core value of how you are so community oriented. So along those lines, what tools have been successful in you building your leadership profile outside of the programs that you participated in?
Yeah, well, I was going to say it may not be an actual tool. It really is a best practice, and I could not encourage people enough to network. And so you have your traditional networking, right, where you're going to these happy hours, you're participating in these leadership programs, you're going to breakfast and coffee, and those are extremely important, but they do nothing if you don't follow up with those people that you've met and make meaningful relationships. So I always like to say be intentional when you're networking, because those things get costly.
Yes.
You go to a happy hour and you're just standing there and know you're going to buy a drink, maybe 2 or 3.
Right.
Pay for parking.
Right.
You got to buy a ticket if you don't get on Eventbrite for the first 50 free tickets. So you have to, even in that, you have to be intentional. I've learned to look and see which ones are really going to be beneficial to attend. But the biggest thing of that is that you have to be intentional on, okay, I need to meet someone to fill this gap, and then be willing to do that for someone else, obviously.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So networking has been huge, but again, even beyond the social networking, which is a part of social networking, but then social media, the professional side of that on LinkedIn. So guys, until I came to the chamber, my LinkedIn was lame. Like I probably only had a LinkedIn because I was just entering the workforce. And then when I came to the chamber, you meet all these people and I'm just getting all these connections, requests. And I'm like, my LinkedIn is really lame. I probably should. So I'll be honest, I'm still working on that. Any LinkedIn pros, you can help me out.
I like you. Do you know Brittany Hunter?
I don't.
Okay, she's local to Dallas. Okay. I'm going to introduce you to her.
Please.
She is a LinkedIn guru.
Man.
And you need to know, y'all need to know each other anyway.
I want to meet you, Brittany.
Yes.
It's funny because I have all these connections now. So now I've started trying to use it more. And it's not foolproof because I'll do things like, hey, I just give you a real life example. Last week, went to the D Magazine Diversity and Inclusion Symposium. And
I saw the pictures from that. That looked amazing.
It was so amazing. And so I go and I just want to share because I'm like, I got to start sharing more on my LinkedIn. And so one of my colleagues go, oh, that sounds great. Do you mind sharing notes if you took any? Of course I took notes. And so I go,
hold on, y'all. Let's pause for a second. This is why she continues to be such an effective leader. She didn't just go and sit in the room. Of course she took notes.
Oh, yeah, you have to take notes.
Yes.
Or you wasted the money that, in this case, my company invested for me to attend. But seriously, don't just show up and feel air in the room. Like, really be intentional when you go. So I guess this person knew that I took notes. And so I really wish he had emailed me. But he asked on LinkedIn. I said, of course I'll share them. I promise over 30 people were on the thread. Could you share them with me? Will you please share them with me?
Too.
You share them? Okay, I got you. Well, it forced me to do something that I hadn't done. I have the Social Good Strategist website, which Jacqueline will share with you. And I said, well, I have a platform for an audience. I'll just, well, honestly, I didn't think that far ahead, but I said, well, this is opportunity for the Social Good Strategist to influence how people feel about diversity and inclusion if they weren't able to attend this event. And so I made this beautiful graphic in my mind of my notes, but I was so concerned about it looking aesthetically pleasing that the notes are kind of little and I couldn't put all of everything on there. And so I make this post and I go, since so many people have asked for these notes, because I'm fooling myself at this point, I would like to share these notes and please see this graphic. It's downloadable and all this great stuff. But I go, because I really do want feedback. I say, please be honest with me, guys. Share your feedback. This is my first time doing this. I want to hear from you. And they let me have it. Okay, use this fund. This is please spell check review. And I was like, ooh, what did I do? However, someone gave me really great feedback, and she doesn't even know that I have a website, but she said you could share this as a blog or put it on your website to drive traffic to it. So I'm redoing my notes, and I will have a section now on my website as I go to all these mini community events where I'll share from my perspective notes. And so I'll give you a copy of those. It's on my LinkedIn. Need to clean it up apparently. But that's another tool, I guess, is that be receptive to feedback, well, ask for feedback, and then actually listen.
Come on now. Y'all, ask for feedback, but listen. Yeah. Sometimes, one thing I realize a lot is that when people are looking to catapult to the next level of leadership, they'll ask for feedback, but they don't really want the feedback.
Exactly.
They just want to brag a little bit. And it is so okay to brag. I love bragging on myself. Yeah. That is a skill that I have, and I'm very comfortable with it. At the same time, you have to be able to listen. Yeah. Listen not only to what people are saying, but listen to what isn't being said. And I'm glad you took this feedback and you were like, whoa, I wasn't expecting this much feedback.
Yeah, I have to put the phone down for a minute. I was like, I was not ready. She could have inboxed me.
Right. But at the same time, you are a leader. And by you putting yourself out there, just imagine how many other people that you are showing a proper example to of how to receive feedback.
Sure.
Because we talk a lot about things to do, but we don't talk enough about receiving feedback.
Right.
And you've demonstrated that in action to people who might not even tell you, like, LaDondra, the way that you received that feedback, that was so great.
Yeah.
And that's just another example of how you embody leadership all throughout your life. Like, she's a leader who lives her values, and you can tell that by just the different elements of things that you do. So thank you for sharing that story with us.
I was going to delete the post, but I said, no, I'm going to be very transparent. I'm going to go back and I'm going to give them the best version of those notes.
So your definition of leadership included vulnerability.
Absolutely.
And again, that's why I love you, because you keep demonstrating your values over and over again. So this is a love fest, because like I told y'all,
I love this girl.
like I told y'all, this was going to be a great episode. So along those lines, what's one thing you wish you would have known before you took your first official leadership role?
Oh, intentionality. So I think that I would raise my hand to do anything. I did not know the words no. I was just hungry for knowledge, and so I would do any and everything. If it sounded cool or the help was just needed, I could afford it. Whatever the reason, I just wanted to be in the room, and I love people, so I would just do everything, but I wasn't intentional about, because there's enough to do. If you really focus in on what your niche is or what it is that you want to do, there's enough to do in every industry that you can think of. And so, but initially I wasn't intentional. I was just doing stuff, trying to figure it out. And even when I figured it out, then I was afraid to say no to people that expected me to do things because I always did them. So I would really I really wish that I was more intentional early on.
Okay. Intentionality. So write that down and just sit with that and really ask yourself, how are you engaged in intentionality? So my next question for you is about books. I'm a bookworm. I know you like books too.
Yes.
What book are you reading right now?
So to be honest, Jacqueline gives me too much credit. Again, I'm a doctoral student, so right now all of my readings are pretty much research. So when I do read, I read usually really short and easy books, or I try to stay away from things that are not intentional, things that are not going to help me with my career or any goals that I'm working on. But I brought something for Jacqueline today. It's 212 degrees, the extra degree. So I got this, and sorry, it looks a little warm because when I received this book from actually my last employer, so maybe 4 years ago now, as a team development read, I loved it so much that I bought an extra copy, and it's just been there until I felt like I should give it to someone, and I never did. And so I have this for you. But I'll just tell you a little bit about it. It's a super easy read, really a lot of graphics and kind of quote type things. But the point of the book is that at 211 degrees, water is hot. At 212 degrees, it boils. And so it says that, and with boiling water comes steam, and steam can move a locomotive. So the premise is that you can boil water at this point, but sometimes it just takes that one extra degree to move something forward. So it has a lot of great kind of leadership tips on how to move that extra degree and move forward a little bit. So I'd like to give that to you.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
Yes. I can't wait to read this, y'all. So what I'll do is I will share when I finish it. I'll just do a bonus episode on the podcast with a recap, but in today's show notes, I will also include the link so y'all can get this book. I'm excited to read this.
Yeah, I promise. I go back to mine all the time, and that's why yours looks a little more.
Thank you. No, this is good. I love a good book. Yes. Thanks for sharing that with me.
Absolutely.
Now, what advice would you give to a leader who's navigating change right now? Because you shared with us how you've made these transitions.
Sure.
And sometimes when we hear people who make transitions, the question that comes back a lot is, but how? So just what advice would you give someone navigating that change?
I would say embrace it. Put your seatbelt on, enjoy the ride. It will be bumpy. Sometimes you don't know. Think about it like a roller coaster ride. You really don't know when the bumps and when it'll go down and which way you're going, but you got on it because you felt like it was going to be enjoyable, or maybe you like a thrill. So I would say embrace the change. That's really the only way you're going to grow, is if you change something. Growth does not come without change. And so embrace it. Learn something from it, and if it's not the change that you thought it would be, just hopefully get a lesson from the transition that you've made, because I think there's a lesson in everything.
Yes, I love it. So before we wrap up, I do want you to tell us more about the social impact strategist.
Yeah.
And you refer to yourself as a social influencer as well. So I do want you to share with us what that is and how we can support you, because when we see leaders who are deeply committed to the community like you, my goal is to let's put some momentum behind you as well to advance the things that you're doing. So share the details.
Well, first, thanks for having me. This has been really great, and things like this is actually a part of the movement, providing an audience and a new audience, but I'm one of you guys, so I'm not really new. But so the social good strategist, again, a social worker at heart, but really a passion for how businesses can implement more social impact, and then how social organizations, social impact organizations can have more business practices and be more efficient. And so what I have not mentioned is that I'm a small business owner. I own a photo booth company because I'm like a self-proclaimed selfie queen, you could say. And so was looking for a extra source of income because I was a social worker, and saw something that would give me a profit quicker. And so I have a small business. I have a photo booth company. And so when I started my business plan, before I made my first dollar, I said that at least quarterly I would do these free events. Of course, that turned into a million free events, and I had to like check myself, like, you won't make money if you continue to do free events. But what that made me learn is that there are small business owners that their business is just a profitable business. It's nothing connected to social impact, but they would probably be willing to contribute to something that was for a good cause, but they feel like until they're making money that they can't, and that's absolutely false. Me providing a free photo booth service at a nonprofit's annual gala that brings in hundreds of thousands of dollars was an advancement to their entertainment services. And so even in that small photo booth capturing memories, I provided something that they would have paid for otherwise. And so I provided some type of social impact. And so then that made me think there are so many other entrepreneurs that have no connection to social impact, but that could. And so I started talking to people that had small businesses and saying, hey, what are you doing for the community? And they're like, nothing, I don't know. And so I would challenge them to find either something that they were passionate about to connect to, or something that really was connected to their business model, so it wasn't a burden on them. But that was the first thing that I thought of. And then I thought of, there are businesses that are making money that should be contributing that to social impact needs. And so our larger corporations have corporate social responsibilities, but there are smaller businesses that should still also be providing social impact. So I started, again, just kind of talking, cold calling people like, hey, what's going on here? But in the current stages of the social good strategist, it's really purposed to be a free resource to individuals as well as these social entrepreneurs or your traditional entrepreneur on really how to find what it is they're passionate about, to get more involved in that, to find their passion if they don't know what that is. So you have traditional websites where you can go and find an opportunity to volunteer, and that's absolutely great. Please do that. But then sometimes I think that we need to learn how to implement it as a practice of our life and make it more of a routine. And so when you think of an influencer, you have your fashion influencers, and maybe you go to that person's website or follow them on social media to learn, like, what should I wear this season, this fall season. So I like to be that for social impact. I like to be that person that, specifically young professionals, because we want things to be cool and it has to be trending. Yes. And so I like to be able to provide those resources to the young professional community.
I love what you're doing. All the way around. So tell the audience how they can get connected with you. I'm going to drop in the LinkedIn profile because that's definitely a place you want to connect with her.
Absolutely. So the Social Good Strategist is on all platforms. give me some time because I've already told you my LinkedIn is, my personal LinkedIn is doing a lot better than the business one. But on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram is pretty good because, again, I love to take pictures and I put some tips there a lot. So the Social Good Strategist, and then also the socialgoodstrategist.com. And so if you sign up and subscribe, you'll start receiving newsletters. And sometimes it's just, hey, these cool community events are coming up. And then sometimes it's just some nuggets that I like to share with people regarding social impact.
Awesome sauce. Didn't I tell y'all this is going to be good? LaDondra is so amazing. I really appreciate you.
Thank you.
Coming to the podcast, actually being my first guest to do in person. So for those of you who are listening to the audio, you can also see our conversation, which will be on the YouTube channel as well. So this was so good. I have so many notes. I can't wait to listen to this episode myself. So many things that you shared, and dig into this book. Thank you for that, Kim.
Oh, man, it's going to be great. You'll love it.
Yes. All right, y'all. Until next time, continue to emulate excellence and eliminate excuses.